2025 meeting of the Buildings and Standards Commission to order. Good afternoon and welcome to the City of Irving Buildings and Standards Commission meeting for January 22nd, 2025. We work from a prepared agenda due to the requirements of the Texas Open Meetings Act. All comments to and deliberations by the Commission must be strictly limited to matters posted on today's agenda. Anyone wishing to address the Commission should ask the moderator for permission to speak on their specified item number. All persons to speak must be sworn in. If you plan to present evidence in any case today, that evidence must remain with City staff and become part of the case master file. If you need a copy for your records, City staff will be happy to assist you with that need. We limit the time limit for citizen comments to 3 minutes. You may request more time at the end of 3 minutes. A decision will be made whether or not to grant you additional time. A Spanish translator is available if needed. Ms. Lopez, Administrative Assistant for the Code Enforcement Department. If anyone in the audience plans to speak, would you please stand as you are able and raise your right hand to be sworn in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to present is true and correct? Thank you. Ms. Lopez, do we have proper notification on all cases that are to be heard this afternoon?
The agenda for the meeting was postponed.
So did you confirm that the proper postings have occurred?
Yes. The agenda for this meeting was posted in accordance with law. At least 72 hours prior to the meeting is certified by the City Secretary's office. A notice of this hearing is required by law, has been advertised in newspaper of general circulation in the city at least 10 days prior to this hearing. A copy of this notice is included in the packets provided to the Commission. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Rosa López, soy secretaria del Departamento de Código de la Ciudad de Irving. Soy la traductora por esta tarde. Estaré disponible si alguien necesita ayuda. Gracias.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to the items on our agenda. The first two items on our agenda are approving the minutes of our work session and public hearing from November 20th, 2024. Do I hear any motions from the commission to adopt the minutes of our last hearing?
Motion to adopt.
We have a motion to adopt for Commissioner Simon. Do I hear a second?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a second.
And a second from Commissioner Metters. Motion passed unanimously. On to the items for individual consideration.
Dale Demers, Code Enforcement Building Programs Coordinator, here to present Agenda Item 3, continued case BSCP 2304-0001, 415 West Pioneer Drive. This is a commercially zoned property that is substandard and unfit for human habitation. On October 24th, 2023, the Commission adopted all the findings and entered an original order for this case. Since that original order was entered, the owner has made some repairs to the structure on the property by replacing the roof decking and shingles to the structure in March of 2024. These repairs did not eliminate any of the current code violations originally found by the Commission. Therefore, entry of an amended order was issued on September 26, 2024, with a deadline of repair or demolition on November 26, 2024. The roll-off dumpster was placed at the property the week of January 6, 2025, under Section 33-8.1E2. A commercial container may be placed for the temporary purpose of disposing of waste generated during the time of an active building permit for the demolition or construction of improvements on the property upon which the commercial container is located. Currently, this property does not have an active building permit, making this container a violation of the City Code of Civil and Criminal Ordinances. There are several violations around the structure. The roof was deteriorated and showed signs of buckling. However, as stated before, it was replaced in March of 2024. This is the only work that has been completed to this date, and the roof permit was never finalized and has now expired. Access has not been granted since September 24, 2024, leaving staff to believe all violations still exist. This wall is located between the main structure and the garage. The tarp shows signs of being over this area for some time. You can see several missing sections of the siding. This represents damage by fire, explosion, wind, vandalism, or elements of nature, so there may be a danger to life, safety, or to the general welfare of a person. This is the west side of the structure, which shows missing siding and deterioration. This is a floor, exterior wall, or roof that has holes, cracked, loose, rotted, warped, or protruding boards that may injure a person. This is the south side of the wall of the garage that has significant rot and deterioration. This is a non-supporting member exclusive outside covering with 50% damage or deterioration. This is the east side of the structure, which shows another area of the missing siding. In this photo, you will see the floor joists have been exposed to the elements and are deteriorated along with the foundation support. This is a supporting member exclusive of the foundation, which shows 33% damage or deterioration. The access to the front door is impeded by the bookshelf and rolled up carpet, which has not moved since October of 2023. Likewise, the area of the structure is inaccessible due to trash and debris. This is one of the bathrooms located near the front of the structure. In October of 2023, the flooring had been removed to make plumbing repairs easier to access. It was observed during the October inspection that some parts of the foundation are being held up by tree stumps as seen here in the red circle. The photo on the right shows that the floorboards have been replaced back over the hole, but no inspections took place for any plumbing or foundation repairs. This is a foundation that has holes, cracks, buckling, crumbling, or defects that may cause said foundation to be unable to provide adequate support. In multiple locations, the ceilings have either fallen or have been taken down. This is an interior wall or ceiling that has holes, cracks, loose plaster, defective materials, or structural deterioration that may defeat the purpose of that wall or ceiling, or that may fail to protect the occupants of the structure from danger of collapse or of fire, and parts that may fall and injure a person or property. This is true in the garage structure as well. Staff respectfully requests that the Commission adopt these findings and make the following orders. Staff respectfully requests the owner be ordered to pay civil penalties in the amount of $10 per each of the remaining 9 violations per day from November 26, 2024 through January 22nd, 2025, a total of 56 days for a total amount of $5,040 for failure to comply with the Commission's September 26, 2024 order. This concludes staff's presentation at this time.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to this item? You are the owner, correct?
I am the owner.
You'll have 10 minutes. If you could start by saying your name and address for the record.
My name is Art Bertonzetti, and I'm the owner of 415 West Pioneer here in Irving. I don't agree with Dale's comments that it's a hazard to anybody. The contents of the building, I had a homeless person there that I could not get rid of for 5-6 months. And he took everything out of the boxes where they were stored, destroyed most of the boxes, and threw them all out on the floor. So it's like 3 lifetimes worth of stuff that was in the building, and it really looked bad. And I've cleared up most of it. There's still probably another dumpster ready to be thrown away, but I'm working on it. I don't really agree that there should be civil penalties. I've taken $70,000 to replace the roof, and I'm waiting on financing from a sale of property in Fort Worth that is taking forever to sell, but will eventually be sold. Trying to sell it to a racetrack for a kind of a service station there on Risinger Road and 35 in Fort Worth. But it's held up because of the expansion of I-35, and that runs along the property line. There's a question of the location of a gas pipeline and how that impacts on the planning for the work that has to be done. The Texas Department of Transportation is the one that holds all the cards in this, and I honestly don't know when it's going to take place, but I'm doing what I can to make the property presentable and safe, but it is taking a little more time than I had. This homeless person threw it all on the floor, destroyed most of the containers, and it's been a stretch to come up with the funds to put it back in the containers and the way it was. But we'll eventually get to it. The dumpster that you saw out on the front was 3/4 full by the time they picked it up. But I don't know what else to tell you. I really hope I don't get another penalty. You know, that's fine. It's no big deal. But I just don't think a penalty is welcome to someone in my position that will come after me. I don't know what else to say. It's really not a hazard to anybody. And it's a sturdy structure for the most part. The garage, a lot of the siding has been torn off, and by someone who had to use a crowbar. So I don't know what totally is going on, but it's not very nice to me or to the city. But the structure of the house itself is sound, and I don't agree with Dale's. There is a part that has a sagging floor, but it's only a small part of the structure. Everything else, the walls are vertical and the floors are horizontal. So do what you must. I mean, if you have to fine me, that's better than tearing it down, guys. So do what you feel like you must. I'm not going to second guess you, but just remember there'll be other people that come after me, and I hope that you remember them as well as me. Thank you.
Mr. Bertanzetti, I had a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
You said this building was occupied by a homeless person. What were the dates that the homeless person occupied?
He came February of 23 to about May of 23, and then he occupied it for another month for the. But everything of value in the place. I mean, he looted the place. He emptied everything, the drawers, the boxes, in search of valuables, and he transported it to a locker on the highway. It was a 15 by 10 storage area, and he looted everything of value and just threw everything on the floor. It was a mess.
Do you have a police report for any of this?
I tried. The police wouldn't do anything. They told me it was all justice of the peace court. You know, you couldn't get rid of this guy. I actually allowed him to stay there for a few days, but after 2 weeks, I just got tired of him throwing everything around. He was, but they wouldn't remove him, and they told me I had to take him to justice of the peace court in order to evict him. I couldn't just say, get out. I was surprised. I didn't realize the laws were set up that way.
The eviction, you said that happened in May of 2023?
Yeah, they did. But he came back, and the judge of the court actually let him come back, and with his song and dance. And I was not even there. He wouldn't even give me a hearing, which surprised me. And I'm sure that's not legal, but you know, they can stretch justice of the peace court. They're going to stretch things. So, but yeah, he was there for almost another month, or maybe it was 2 weeks to a month. But more stuff was thrown around, and he's no longer in the area. I think he's in San Diego now. I believe he's probably. They've probably revoked his parole, and if they ever catch him, they'll probably throw him down to Huntsville to serve his term.
Okay, so this person hasn't occupied the structure not since late in 2024, as I'm hearing.
Right.
Okay, so since our commission order on December 22nd, 2024, what work has been done to rectify anything in the structure?
Just the roof. Actually, I was fined for roof violation by the city in 23. I think it was $1,600. So I thought it was. I didn't realize that it was a shake roof on the house, but it was a regular roof on the garage. But it was all replaced. It cost me $70,000, and I'm awaiting repairs on everything else from the sale of the property in Fort Worth, which will eventually happen and will provide me with necessary funds. And it's just, I was thinking about declaring bankruptcy, but there's no telling how long this is going to drag on with the Department of Transportation holding up both the city of Fort Worth and the racetrack in this commercial development. So you guys have to do what you have to do, and I hope it's, I mean, I'll obviously be able to bear the cost, but I hope you don't do that. I'm trying to clean up the, whatever is hazardous, and it's going to take another dumpster load, I think. A small dumpster, not.
So what did, you said you filled the dumpster up 3/4 of the way. What did you put in the dumpster?
Torn up boxes, old furniture that he tore up, just general household items that he threw on the floor and tore up. And that carpet that Dale commented on, I threw that away too.
Thank you. I don't believe I have any more questions for Mr. Bernzetti. Does anyone from the commission or city staff have any questions while he's up here?
I have one question. Sir, is this property zoned commercial or residential?
It's zone commercial, it's CN, zone commercial. However, I have lived in it myself for 30 years, so it's been a residential property. It's just since 2019, there's been nobody in it,
Okay.
nobody residing there.
Well, did you not have a tenant that you had to, that was,
I never charged the tenant that lived there for almost 10 years anything. I just had him, I was taking care of my father, and I had him stay there in order to help me take care of the place. He was just an occupier
okay.
for almost
So
10
who's
years.
Nadel Nafa?
I'm sorry, no, he didn't do anything to harm the place in a major way.
Okay, this wasn't the party you're talking about.
He's not the
Okay.
party I'm talking about, no.
And are the assessments of fees based on a commercial building or well, I'll save that for later. Never, okay, I just wanted to know. So this is commercial,
It is commercial property.
okay, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Bertonzetti.
I also should add that I had a screen printing shop in the back for a number of years. When I first bought the property, I went down to the city to ask if it was zoned for me to have a business there as well as live there, and they said sure. And they didn't qualify that or explain it. So I had to go through the process of readjusting the building codes in order to allow me to reside there as well. But we finally came to agreement that I could have a screen shop in the garage. So the screen shop was in the garage, and I resided in the rest of the house. And I did that from 1991 till I think 2004 or something like that. Maybe it was a little earlier than that. But they came and inspected it, and it was, just a regular business. I didn't originally get what I wanted from, I think it was, I don't know what they called it back then. I think it was maybe building the standards, something like what you guys have here. Maybe it was the planning and zoning. I can't recall. But I appealed, at that time you could appeal these cases to the city council. And I did. I finally appealed it to the city council, and I lost my appeal on a 5-4 vote. So I came to agreement with the city that I would have a screen shop in the garage, which was a separate area. It was separate from the house. In other words, it was not connected. There was a breezeway that connected the two. They were not physically connected. So they allowed me to have a business and live there at the same time.
All right, I'm going to curtail this. We're not the zoning commission. Whether you live there or do business there isn't really actually in our purview. Mr. Diller, do you have a question?
Yes, Mr. Bertonzetti, you'd mentioned information about a complication with utilities in the state of Texas working with you on something related to the property. That's new information to the department.
please?
Yeah, you had mentioned in your testimony that you were working with the state of Texas on a utility issue at the
The
property?
Department of Transportation of the state of Texas.
Gotcha. Do you have a contact there that we can connect with to understand what the circumstances are and the needs there? That's something the department's not aware of.
I can provide you with that information, but it'll take me a while. I can bring it to you tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, if you could just send it to Dale or email or drop it by, that would be terrific. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big project. They're widening 35 from way down south all the way up to 20, and we'll eventually get a lot of money from the easements that they're supposedly, and that may help finance some of the property, but right now I have no idea how long it's going to take. I mean, everything else has been done that can be done in order to get the city of Fort Worth's approval of building a racetrack on that property, except for the Texas Department of Transportation and the widening of Interstate 35.
So to clarify, that property is other property you own. It's not the property at 415.
No, it's not.
Okay.
I have about an acre on 415.
They're separate issues,
They're
but they're
separate
related
issues.
to you, but they're separate as far as we're concerned, correct?
Right. In other words, that's where the financing to complete the upgrade of the property is going to come from.
Okay, so calling TxDOT on that has nothing to do with this particular property.
Nothing, well, it will enable me to complete the repairs, the sale of that property in Fort Worth. And the Department of Transportation of the state of Texas is the one that's holding that up right now. Because there's a pipeline that runs along 35 and through my
That may not be
property.
resolved for 10 years, so
Well,
would you expect us to wait for 10 years for that to be resolved?
I hope not.
Do
But
you have
again, I'm not asking you to do something that's hazardous to anybody.
do you have alternative financing available should the sale of your Fort Worth property not prosecute in a timely manner?
Not at this time.
Do you have an estimate of how much money you need to spend to bring this property up to code?
$80,000.
All right.
I've already spent 70.
And you said you spent 70,000 on the roof?
70,000 for the roof. I mean, the whole roof was replaced, not just a few shingles. We're talking about underlays and everything. Everything that goes in to a roof has been replaced. It's a very sturdy property. I mean, if you took it to district court, they wouldn't throw it out with a summary judgment.
Okay, I had a couple of questions for Mr. Demarest.
Yes, sir.
So, as to his testimony on the roof, is the roof part of the violations listed in item 6 of the order?
One of the, it's listed in the fact that our violations encompass,
Floor or roof?
I'll go back here. Our violations encompass more, so like a floor or roof that has insufficient strength to be reasonably safe. The roof may have been fixed, but the floor is still subject to that
So
violation.
the floor is what is
Right.
dinging them over
Yeah,
on
we
the
don't,
section.
we don't sit there and give it one to each area of the house. It's an overall encapsulated thing. So as I stated in my presentation, he may have fixed the roof, but fixing the roof didn't mitigate any of the existing violations by just fixing the roof by itself.
Okay, and is this a homestead property, even though it's zoned as commercial?
It is in DCAT, it is zoned, it does have a homestead exemption on the property, which is why we're at the dollar amount that
Yeah.
we are.
Okay, have you observed any of the 9 violations that were present on the 26th of September last year, have any of them been rectified?
None of them have been inspected to be verified. They no longer exist.
Have you seen any indication that any of them have been improved in any meaningful way?
Not from the public right-of-way for which we've inspected.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions while Mr. Demarest is standing up here?
Mr. Demarest, are there other properties around this that are impacted by this? I would call kind of a nuisance if it's open to allow
Actually,
homeless to be there.
since this case has been open, we've had one property a block down and over one that has demolished their property, completely gone. And then the property right next to it, which used to be the chicken restaurant, is an open building and standards case, but it is being closed this week through voluntary compliance for after a complete remodel was done on that and an insurance company had put it in, all taking place after this case was originally opened. So other properties all do have building and standards cases, and they have been brought into compliance in that area.
I think that's not the question.
Thank you.
Mr. Demarest, real quick, to clarify, I think the question there, are there other residential homes near this property?
Oh, yes.
Is this on a path near a middle school where children travel in the morning and in the evening? to and
There
from
is a school 2 blocks down.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Dodd, if I may ask a question of this witness, thank you. Mr. Demarest, so you mentioned that you have not had the chance to inspect the interior of this property.
Correct.
When was the last time you were able to gain access to the interior?
September 26th.
Okay, and since that time, I presume you have checked the inspections records for the City of Irving Building Inspections Department?
It's part of our routine preparation for the hearing.
And have any building permits been pulled to make the repairs that are necessary to be made to the rest of the structure?
No.
And just to remind the commission, how long have you been working this case?
This particular case, based upon the thing, was opened in April of '23. At that time, I had just come on to the City of Irving in this capacity, and I actually closed the previous case because it was mishandled by staff and had been laid dormant for quite some time. So we restarted the case in April of '23 to ensure that we were doing it properly and that we had updated notice. So this is the second case on this particular property at this time.
So it's fair to say you've been working this case for almost 24 months?
I have been working this case for 24 months, correct?
No further questions.
Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak on this case? No? Hi, if you could state your name and address for the record.
My name is Paul Bertonzetti. I reside at 3838 Twin Falls Street here in Irving. And I have an email I received from Brandon Allred with Racetrack about what is holding up the sale of the property in Fort Worth. And I'm going to assure you that it's not, there's two brothers, myself and my other brother. We're selling this property to them for $2.3 million. And they almost always close their sales. He's going to have plenty of money to fix up that property at 415 West Pioneer, and it is not that the floor. It has. There's no way. There's rickety floors in that thing that I have ever seen. And yeah, there is this guy when he made that property. He really probably overbuilt it. There's you know, the amount of wood that you put in as far as 2x4s is incredible. But the putting up the sale, I'd like to pass this around. This is what, you can read it yourself. It's a drainage issue, and the sale is going to close when the plat on the property is okayed by the city of Fort Worth. And there's really a drainage problem. In back almost 3 or 4 miles, it drains right down into the area where this property is. So drainage is very important. When you put a racetrack up there, you're not going to want your customers being flooded out. You know, they're not going to want to come back, obviously. So they want to move a pipeline. Now, I'm not exactly sure where this pipeline is. We know there's a pipeline along the Risinger Road, but that's to the side of the property. But this is what they're really saying. If they agree to move the pipeline, it'll probably be done within a month or so, and they can go on ahead and put in the drainage that they want and have the plat, approved, and we get our money. And that's really what we're waiting for. We're not waiting for another 2 years, okay? And, well, I'm saying that, but I don't ideally think that it's going to be two more years. They're close. They want that racetrack. It's probably the second highest traffic area, amount of cars going across the highway right out there. It's prime location. They're ready to close and get it done. And we're ready to sell it. And it's been, we've been trying to sell this thing for, 18 months now. I mean, we were warned ahead of time that when you sell to these service station outfits, it takes a while. They got all kind of permits that they got to go through and so forth and so on, and it drags on. So he is a victim of this. And what would be?
All right, that's been 3 minutes.
Okay.
I think we've heard all we need to hear about the sale of the property.
Would you like to see this?
I think we're fine on that regard. Whether or not the money is there is actually immaterial. The only thing that really outlines the scope in Irving law is the scope of work to be done and how long it would take. Whether or not do you have the money to do it is immaterial. So I don't know if you all can get, like an equity line of loan against your property. Then you can get another one. If it's a $2.3 million property, you can't get 80 grand for it on some kind of interest loan. All right, is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak to item number 3? Okay, with that, we will close this to the floor. Any questions or comments from the board at this time?
I'd make a motion to approve the staff's order in full.
We have a motion to approve the staff's order in full, that order being to enter into the findings the 9 violations in Section 6 and to assess penalties of $5,040.
And I second that motion.
And we have a second from Commissioner Smith, so that will be a vote. Okay, we have some technical issues. We'll do this by hand. All in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 4, please.
Dale Demarest, Code Enforcement Building Programs Coordinator, here to present Agenda Item 4, continued case BSCP 2011-0004, 2203 West Irving Boulevard. This case was opened in November of 2020. At the July 2024 hearing, the Commission levied civil penalties against the property for noncompliance, and then in September, the Commission continued the case to today. On November 7th, 2024, the contractor took staff's advice and installed a screening material on the security fence to help improve the overall image of the property from the public right-of-way, which has been maintained since it was installed. By December, the underground utilities had passed inspections and the concrete foundation and slab were poured shortly after. Steel components are being erected at this time. And internal framing has been 75% completed. The new area of the building is mostly an open concept for the market area and will not need any interior framing. The general contractor stated that the project should be completed by April when we spoke on January 15th, 2025. With that in mind, staff respectfully requests that the owners appear at the May 28th, 2025 hearing to update the commission on the progress of the project. Depending on the level of progress at that time, staff may recommend additional civil penalties be assessed for failure to comply with the April 23, 2024 order to repair the structure. This concludes my presentation at this time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak to item number 4? All right. Welcome back. If you could state your name and address for the record.
Kenny Lott, 1157 Esters Road.
All right, and you have 3 minutes.
I'm here for questions.
Oh, for questions? Oh, cool. If I recall correctly, from the last time you were here, you said around January, February, this was kind of wrapping up. What's the current timeline looking like?
Right now, we are looking towards the end of April. We've hit structural modification delays from the existing building, from the structural engineer of record. He showed no current tie-ins to the new add-on to the building, so now we hit a delay while we're waiting on new drawings. But the rest of the progress for casing in the existing building and continuing is still in fold.
Okay, can you give us just like a brief rundown of what you've done since the last time you were here, which I think was September?
Yep. Complete plumbing, grease trap, paving, foundation, erected 6 of the 7 columns, attached 4 of their beams, completed roughly 80% of the interior framing, ready for top out so we can have a sheetrock inspection.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? All right. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to item number 4? Okay. With that, we will close the matter to the floor and begin our deliberations. It's an order to appear in about 4 months' time, at which point it, fingers crossed, might be completed. Are there any motions from the commission at this time?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the staff recommendation in full.
We have a motion from Commissioner Metters. Do I hear a second?
Second?
And a second from Commissioner Simon. Have we fixed the electronics? Sweet. Motion passed unanimously. Item 5, please.
Dale Demarest, Code Enforcement Building Programs Coordinator, here to present Agenda Item 5, continued case BSCP 2306-0002, 2585 West Irving Boulevard, also now known as 2701 West Irving Boulevard. This case was opened in June of 2023. This building is just one of many structures located on the parcel address at 2701 West Irving Boulevard. It's located on the south end of the parcel along Irving Boulevard. The commission ordered this building repaired or demolished by June 23, 2024. Staff has not observed any repairs or alterations to the property since the case was open. Staff updated the commission in closed session about the details of litigation involved in this case. With that in mind, staff requests that the commission order the owners to appear at the May 28, 2025 hearing to update the commission. Staff concludes the presentation at this time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak to item number 5? Okay, with that, I'll ask a question. We're making a May order to appear. Is that due to the 75-day window that was discussed earlier? Is that why we're pushing it back 2 meetings?
I think the concern is just the timeline to get a hearing.
Yeah, the 75, yes, okay.
And so, we certainly can do it sooner. It might be more of the same update you received today.
Gotcha.
And yes, they have not appeared at a couple of our hearings anyways. So we are going through the litigation process.
Okay, so we're holding this up for legal purposes, and in 4 months' time, we're expecting at least some headway on that regard. Okay. Any other comments or questions from the commission? With that, we're closing the matter to the floor. Do I hear a motion from the commission at this time?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the staff recommendation in full.
We have a motion from Commissioner Metters
I second that motion.
and a second from Commissioner Smith. Motion passed unanimously. Item 6.
Julia Cuellar, Code Enforcement Specialist, here to present Agenda Item 6, continued case BSCP 2306-0003, 2024 Sandy Lane. This is a vacant single-family dwelling that is substandard and unfit for human habitation. A fire occurred in early 2023, and the owner applied for a permit shortly after the September hearing. After working with the inspections department and staff for an addition and remodel permit, that permit was issued on November 28, 2024. Here is the scope of work approved by the permits department as a part of the permit. Work on the property started by January 6, 2025. As of January 15, 2025, there has been progress on the property following the scope of work. With that in mind, staff respectfully request that the commission order the owners to appear at the May 28, 2025 hearing to update the commission and to determine if civil penalties should be assessed. This concludes my presentation at this time.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to this item? Okay, with that, we will close this matter to the floor. Questions, comments, concerns from the commission?
Just a question about the timing for the, checking the progress on the property, waiting until May. Should we check in on this at our March meeting? Is there a particular reason you're recommending skipping the March meeting?
According to their scope and schedule, they have to remove a lot of the burnt down property before being able to start on the addition.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, with that, do I hear a motion from the commission?
I move that we follow staff.
We have a motion. We have a motion from Commissioner Welch. Do I hear a second?
A second.
And a second from Commissioner Simon. Oh, we have a vote outstanding. There we go. Motion passed unanimously. Item 7, please.
Julia Cuellar, Code Enforcement Specialist, here to present Agenda Item 7, continued case BSCP 2402-0003, 503 Ralston Road. This is a vacant single-family dwelling that is substandard and unfit for human habitation. Extensive progress has been made, as you can see on this slide. In February of 2024, the property was sold. The new owner obtained 2 permits by September 2024 and 2 more in November 2024. The new owner conducted some cleanup on the interior, along with the removal of the floor joists throughout, and continued to make progress. Today, 3 out of the 4 permits have been finalized, which include foundation and electrical permit repairs. The owner is expecting to finish by approximately January 31, 2025. Here is the same front corner room from the previous slide. I will now demonstrate before and current state pictures of a few areas of the house. The wall was repaired and floor systems were installed here. This is the back right corner room. They converted the garage area into a room as seen here on the right. Work on the property has been all-inclusive as seen here at the back side of the structure. With that in mind, staff respectfully request that the commission order the owners to appear at the March 26, 2025 hearing to update the commission and to determine if civil penalties should be assessed. This concludes my presentation at this time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak on this item? Okay, that will close it to the floor. Question, comments, concerns from the board?
Mr. Chairman, not a question, but just a comment, and just appreciate the diligence of our code enforcement folks working on this property. It's always good to see one that's restored to use and coming along in the way that, I think this commission would prefer to see happen. So thank you all for your hard work and diligence on this.
Seconded from the chair. All right, with that, do I hear a motion?
Motion to adopt the staff's recommendation in full.
We have a motion from Commissioner Simon
Second the motion.
and a second from Commissioner Welch. Motion passed unanimously. Item 8, please.
Julia Cuellar, Code Enforcement Specialist, here to present Agenda Item 5, continued case BSCP 2311-0001, 251 O'Connor Ridge Boulevard. This was a commercial building with a 2-story parking garage. On July 31, 2018, a section of the upper deck of the parking garage collapsed. On July 15, 2024, the ownership had their demolition contractor apply for a permit to remove the remaining portions of the parking garage. Demolition began August 28, 2024. By October 23, 2024, the parking garage was demolished and debris was removed. The demolition permit was finalized on January 17, 2025. On January 7, 2025, staff received engineer-approved plan for temporary repairs to the retaining walls, which have been completed. With that in mind, staff respectfully request that the commission order to close due to compliance. This ends my presentation of this case.
Thank you very much. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak to item 8? And there's no one in the audience, so we'll go ahead and close this to the floor. Any motions from the commission at this time?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the staff recommendation in full.
We have a motion from Commissioner Metters
And I second that motion.
and a second from Commissioner Smith.
And good job.
Motion passed unanimously. Last item, please.
Dale Demers, Code Enforcement Building Programs Coordinator, here to present Agenda Item 9, continued case BSCP 2403-0002, 1016 Compton Avenue. This is an occupied single-family dwelling that is substandard and unfit for human habitation. This case was opened in March of 2024. The overall condition of the house can be seen from the street. Since the hearing on July 23, 2024, there have been no attempts to make repairs to the structure. In some cases, it appears that some old siding was possibly removed, only to be replaced by weathered used plywood. Throughout the exterior of the house, you will see siding and plywood in various levels of disarray. This is a non-supporting and closing outside wall or covering with 50% damage or deterioration. The front porch supports are leaning, representing walls or other vertical structural members which list, lean, or buckle in excess of a 1/4 inch horizontal measurement for each 1 foot of vertical measurement. The roof of the structure has several points of deflection and deterioration, which represent a floor or roof that has insufficient strength to be reasonably safe for the purpose for which it is used and to support the weight of emergency personnel and equipment as determined by the fire chief. Those roof issues continue through to the soffits of the structure, which show a floor, exterior wall, or roof that has holes, cracks, loose, rotted, warped, or protruding boards that may injure a person. Staff was granted access by the tenant on July 12th, at which time we discovered interior walls, ceilings that have holes, cracks, loose, plaster, defective materials, or structural deterioration that may defeat the purpose of the wall or ceiling, or that may fail to protect the occupants of the structure from danger of collapse or of fire. Parts that may fall and injure a person or property, and access has not been granted since. We also found areas of the floor that represent a floor, exterior wall, or roof that has holes, cracks, loose, rotted, warped, or protruding boards that may injure a person. With that in mind, staff reminds the Commission of the adopted findings and makes the following orders. Staff respectfully requests that the owner be ordered to pay civil penalties in the amount of $10 per each of the remaining 8 violations per day from November 23rd, 2024 through January 22nd, 2025, a total of 61 days for a total amount of $4,880 for failure to comply with the Commission's July 23rd, 2024 order. This concludes staff's presentation at this time.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak? I think so. So just to recap, we put in our orders July 23rd, and this was, what, 60 days, 90 days? 60 days? So that would have been September 22nd or so, 21st. So we're starting our penalties on the November date. Is there any reason for starting it then and not in September?
I believe you already did civil penalties on this property at the November hearing for that period of time.
That we did. $2,360.
So we picked it up where we left off from the last civil penalty and added the days from there to today.
And I assume this is another homesteaded property?
Actually, it is, yes, I believe it is. I don't think so. I think these penalties just reflect what we try and do with a cursory step up from the last time. I believe last time we did $5 a day, so we've kind of stepped it up. We're trying not to devalue properties in this process and trying to use the civil penalty as a means to edge them forward.
Gentle nudge and not
a throw them off the cliff, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
So we've already done civil penalties once.
Okay. Any other questions from the audience or the?
Mr. Chair, just to confirm, I looked on DCAT and there is no homestead exemption on this property.
Okay.
So, Mr. Demers, you mentioned that you haven't been granted access since. Does that mean you've not been able to speak with the owner since then as well?
No, on your commissioner's packet in the picture page area where the chronology in there has been contact with the owner, all from the city side. The owner has not contacted us. We've had to make contact with her. We're still under the understanding that they're trying to close a sale of the property. The same thing that they were doing on the neighboring house, 1016 Compton, same story that we got on that one as well. And at this time, we can't get any other confirmation from them, a title company, or the current or the potential owner of when this will close. And because it's occupied, we haven't issued a demolition order, but the occupants do not hold a lease agreement. It's a family member that they're in there under handshake agreement and all that. So we're just kind of at a loss of where to move forward with it based upon those ideas.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, do I hear any motions from the commission?
I move to adopt staff's recommendation in full.
Commissioner Smith moves to adopt the staff's recommended order in full, which would assess $4,880 of penalties. Do I hear a second?
I second the motion.
And a second from Commissioner Metters. All right. Motion passed unanimously, and with that, we are adjourned.